Guys, you know that feeling you get in the morning after a big night out? Because our friends at Zbiotics are here to help. Zbiotics, pre-alcohol probiotic drink, is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Invented by PhD scientists, designed to tackle tough mornings the night after drinking. Here's how this works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct that goes to your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol creates an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly. Zbiotics pre-alcohol is perfect for those who always have their health in mind and are looking to master the balance of work and play. So I want you to level up your recovery, and I want you to do it today. I'll get you 15% off your first order at checkout. All you got to do is click on the link in the description. Plus, Zbiotics offers a 100% money-back guarantee. If you are not satisfied for any reason, they will refund all of your money, no questions asked. Conor McGregor is going to run for the president of Ireland. Conor McGregor is going to return to the UFC. Those are both ridiculous statements, founded on no bed of truth or support. Those are both statements that are co-signed, supported, and backed up by a grand total of no one. But does that make them untrue? Does it make one of them less true? The idea of Conor going into politics of what he knows nothing about isn't a disqualifier from politics. I know lots of politicians that don't have any idea what politics are about. I know a number of people that would like to stop those kinds of politicians and can't, and they don't get it. And when the election's over, they go, you don't even know what it's about. It doesn't always work against you. If you got a nice smile and an ability to stand in front of your local news with a message, you got a very good likelihood, or at least better so likelihood, of getting elected into politics than the expert that knows everything about him but pees his pants when he talks on stage in front of people. Okay. You then have a guy who cannot do the most basic thing, which is to protect himself at all time in the course of unarmed combat. By the way, said person must have what's known as a privileged license to compete. And of the 50 states just in these United States, not one has granted a current privileged license to Conor McGregor. So, I mean, which of the two statements are more silly? And my answer, what I want it to be, both are true. That's what I want it to be. I want it for both to be true for two things. There's really no loves in my life more than MMA and politics. That could be a strange combination. But part of loving that is getting on the inside so that you can destroy it. I mean, not for nothing, but like the idea that goes around about how hard a politician works. The first day when I get the gavel, believe me, the people under and along with me will no longer think that way. They won't speak that way. You don't work at all unless what you do has a reasonable expectation to get you sweaty and or dirty. If you are collecting money, whether it's from the taxpayer or from a good of a service on a bargain you made with your neighbor, but that role does not get you sweaty and or dirty, you don't work. You just have a job. There's a big difference. So for somebody to act as though you couldn't be the president of Ireland and be a fighter, make believing there wasn't enough time in the day, there wasn't enough energy in the body, I would take a evil yet accurate pleasure in that being exposed that is not true. And the same thing goes for fighters. I mean, I know fighters that despise their own wives and children so much that they go into something called training camp. Now, training camp is just an expression. You don't train any more or any harder. You're going to do right around an hour in the morning. You know, you're kind of tired. You're just getting out of bed. So that could get to an hour and 15 minutes. I'm pushing it a little bit. It's closer to 45, but you could, with some guys, get to an hour and 15 minutes, all in. I'm talking about the warm-up, the how you doing, how'd you sleep, the stretch, the exercise, the cool down, the re-stretch, the time in the sauna, all in. You could get to an hour and 15. That's a little long, but you could get there. And then in the afternoon, you're not going to get past an hour and 40 minutes. The worst coaches in the world that overtrain their athletes and have no champions aren't going to train you more than an hour and 40 minutes. And again, that's with your warm-up, with your cool-down, with your time in the sauna. So all in, you got an hour and 40 at one point in the day. You got an hour 15 in another spot in the day. So what are we at there? 3.5, and then we throw in a little drive time. So we round up, we just call it 4 hours. But you got 20 hours in a day. How much time do you want to sleep? And then you got that really lazy fighter that not only does he need to sleep, he needs a nap on top of that. And not only does he need to sleep, but he needs a nap on top of that. You better give an allocation of time for him to play video games. All of which paying double duty on rent or lease somewhere other than home because he doesn't want to see his wife and kids. I can't think of a profession where you can make more money or have more influence than that of politician and or cage fighting. So from a time perspective, of course he could do them both. He took two of the most time requiring activities and put them together. In fact, a full-time politician and a full-time fighter will almost equal the average job of any average one man. Question is, does Conor have any political aspirations, and could Conor get elected in Ireland? There's parts about Conor that I would definitely vote for. But there's also a lot of people that I know in Ireland, and they do not care for him. One of the very first things that he did is bought property elsewhere. Guys always try to make that mistake. They try to wave a flag over their head and then wave the Bahamas all over their social media. Wave a new boat they bought that they're storing in Italy while trying to act. It's just one of those things. It's one of those things of all the things that would ever stick to Chael P. On my worst day, you will find me in Westland, Oregon. On my best day, when things could not possibly have gone any better, you will find me in Westland, Oregon. So I don't know that Conor could get elected, and I don't know that that's my business. I don't get a vote. If I did, I actually would vote for him. And I don't think that Conor has the grit to bite down one more time, to prepare his body for a worst case, which is to have to defend itself against unarmed attack at all times. And in his spot, main event, that's up for 25 minutes. That is a ridiculous thing to ask any human to do. And when the UFC is scratching their head and banging their head in a wall, and they can't figure out what they're doing wrong and why they can't get Conor to sign, they could change that one thing. They could make it 3 5-minute rounds, and your likelihood, just by the numbers of getting Conor to put his name on the paper, will go up 70%. The UFC did not get Khabib to go do fight number 30, and to this day, thinks it's because they did not have enough commas and zeros. When in fact, the number they needed to change was the weight class of 155 is what got you the no. If you would have made it 170, you'd have got Khabib to 30-0. Numbers matter. Conor, 2 jobs, president and cage fighter. Which one is less likely?